Okay, now in this video, we're going to talk about while loops. But before all that, you can see I'm inside Acode and I have my terminal running. This is Acode X, and it's really just a plugin inside Acode that lets you use Termux from inside your Acode. Okay, so here it is. You can just go to plugin section and you can see it right here. You can just install it or whatever. It's right there. I'm offline right now, so that's why you see some broken images, but yeah. So here inside Acode, I'm gonna minimize this Acode X terminal because it's not in use right now. Okay, so what is a while loop? Now, a while loop is just a way to repeat a set of instructions while some condition remains true. So you're just saying that, hey computer, or hey interpreter, or hey Python, as long as this condition that I give you is true, execute this statement or this block of code or whatever it is, just execute it multiple times until that condition is no longer true. But some of you might have not watched my previous video, so you may not know what is a condition, right? So a condition is just a Python statement that evaluates to true or false. Now, if you have a Python statement that resolves to true or false, that is simply a condition. You can kind of think of conditions as not computerized ones. Like you can think of conditions as a real world conditions. For example, I'm going to give you a condition. I will say, if you are a student, I'll give you a scholarship, for example. So as long as you stay a student, you will enjoy that scholarship, right? So that is like a while loop. Like it is an infinite while loop, okay? Unless you are no longer a student, you will still keep enjoying my scholarship. So every single year, I'll pay your tuition fees. I'll give you some pocket money. I'll give you everything, sponsor you for the whole year. And then I will repeat that in the next year because you're still a student. And then the following year, until that condition is not met anymore, which means you are no longer a student, then you're not going to enjoy my scholarship. So that's it. That's what is simply a while loop. Even in real life, you can relate to that, I know. Okay, so let me give you an example of the syntax on how to write while loops in Python. So first of all, you're going to write the word while, because sometimes Python is just like a plain English. So you can just write it like this, you know, while, and then you type your condition. Now this condition can be, you got to be careful. For example, you don't want to write a condition that will end up in an infinite loop. You wouldn't want that. So if I do that, for example, I say while 0 is less than, let me give you an example of something that will result immediately to an infinite loop. You can say something like while 0 is less than 10, right? This is always true. This is always true. Okay, so you are saying that as long as this condition is true, we will print 0. Then we can come here and say 0 plus equals 1. That means you're just incrementing 0 by 1. I'm going to tell you about this operator here. I know that we haven't talked about it, but it's not a big deal. So we're saying that while this 0 is less than 10, which is always true, 0 is always less than 10, so we will print 0. This means this will go to infinity because there's no way this 0 can be greater than 10, right? And then we're saying that in every iteration we'll increment 0 by 1. This is just kind of saying that in every iteration just print 1, really. So that's it. Because 0 plus equals 1 is always 1. Really, 0 plus 1 is really 1. So that's it. Now, how do we make this not an infinite loop? We're going to give this condition a stopping point to make it false in some place. So that's why we need to use a variable here. We're going to set I to 1, which is our variable here, and then we'll change this 0 with I. And then here also, we will remove 0 here, and then type I. Here also, we will remove 0 and type I. So here we are saying that this I is now less than 10, right? Because it's 1. I here is 1. Now while I is less than 10, this is always true also, but we will iterate over I. So that means in the first iteration I is 1, right? So in the it will I will be printed, but then it will be incremented by 1. That means 1 plus 1. And then it is now 2. So in the second iteration I is now 2, right? So 2 will be printed out, and then 2 will be incremented by 1 because it's now in the second iteration, and then this in the second iteration is 2. So 2 will be incremented by 1, and then in the third iteration, now 2 was incremented by 1 in the second iteration, so now it's 3. So in the third iteration, 3 will be incremented by 1 more time, and this will keep on going until I is now 10. So as long as I is now 10, then it's no longer less than 10, right? So this condition is now false. Then I will stop printing out. Okay, that's it. This is all a while loop is. I'm going to demonstrate this. I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to run this program. Okay, then we will say Python. First of all, you're going to have to navigate into the folder where your Python file is. Now I have this app.py file which is located inside DCIM, inside a folder I named demo, which is kind of right here, This is inside DCIM. Okay, and we have this file right here, app.py. So I can just do Python and then app.py because I have navigated up. Sorry, it should be right here, Python app.py. Okay, this is going to work because I am inside the folder where the file is. Okay, you can see DCIM and then demo. So that's that. Yeah, so we can run this program, and there we go. We're seeing from 1 to 9. Now this is kind of a little bit close to the edge of the screen if you can look at it. So I'm going to give it some space right here. You should, yeah, and then a comma. This is just to give it some space. It has nothing to do with the while loop, okay? You can do it or you can choose to not do it. It doesn't matter. Okay, we can run this program again, but before that, I am going to clear this terminal. It's kind of messy right now. So yeah, I'm going to run this program again, and then, yeah, we see now they are more clear. So we are saying that you can print from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 until you reach 10, which is now not less than 10. So our condition is now false. That's it. This is the condition. I is less than 10. So as long as this condition is true, I will be printed out. And I hope this is now making sense. Now, what does this tell you? This only tells you that if you have a block of code that you want to run 10 times, you can just say while I is less than 10, you run the block of code, right? So we can say something like while I is less than 10, we can print something like I is less than 10. Okay, so this block of code is going to execute no matter what, as long as this condition is true. So we can rerun the program one more time, and we can say, hey, in every iteration, it will print this statement. So in the first iteration, it says 1, and then it says I is less than 10 because it is. So until the 10th iteration, which I is not less than 10 anymore, then it will print. So I'm going to give you an example that will make you understand a little bit better. This is kind of a vague example. So we will clear this thing. Okay, and I will clear the terminal too. I will say clear. There we go. So here we have a clean working space. So we're gonna write a program that will simulate a guessing game. The rules here is that I'm gonna type it. You will keep guessing until you get it right. you will have some hints though along the way. Okay, so I told you that the number that you're gonna guess is gonna be secret. So secret number. What is a secret number? Okay, so we'll say our secret number is 7. Okay, and then we'll start writing our while loop. So we'll say while, then we give it what? A condition. We give a condition. So we'll say we need some variable here, which kind of tells me that I need to define it. So we'll say guess, which kind of represents if you guess it or you didn't guess it, right? It's going to be an input field, but since it is outside of the loop here, we shouldn't make it an input because it's of no use here. We can just say kind of it's now none. Okay, we can then reset it later. Okay, so we can say while guess, which is right here. So if this guess, we're just checking, is not equal to the number, which is this is how to represent a not equals in Python. So here, this represents equality and this represents not equality. You can also do this like not guess and then you use the equality sign. We can try that flavor later, but now we're going to use this. Okay, so we're saying that while this guess here is not equal to the secret number, which is true because in this case guess is now none. It's not equal to the the secret number. So we'll prompt the user to type in something to guess the number, right? So we'll say guess, which is this thing here, but we are kind of resetting it right now. And then we will so here we'll set it to an input field. So we'll say input and then we'll give it something, say guess the number, something like that. I keep typing number. It's number, man. Okay, so this is kind of it. Actually, it's not it. The number he's going to type, because we're checking equality here, we're checking if it's not equal to this secret number, and this secret number is now an integer. So, which means the guess number that we're going to type also needs to be an integer, which it's not right now. If we leave it like this, it's not going to be an integer, it's going to be a string, and then this condition is never going to be true. So we're going to have to convert it somehow into an integer because this input field that you're seeing here always returns a string, but we can kind of choose to convert his return value to something else. So we can say we want you to return an integer here. We are now converting the return value of this input field to an integer. I hope that is making kind of some sense right here. So we're saying that while this guess is not equals to this secret number, which is true right now, so we're gonna prompt the user to guess a number. Okay, that's kind of all we are doing here. And then we're gonna use some if statements here. If we're gonna say if this guess is equals to the secret number, then we're gonna print something like I don't know, let's say you won. Okay, but elif, that means if it is not, but it is this statement that we're gonna type. We're gonna say elif guess is less than the secret number. So that means if the number he typed in is less than the secret number we have, we're gonna give him some hint and we're gonna say too low. And then in the else part, that means if both of these conditions are not met, this is when this else statement will execute. So we're saying that if the number is the secret number, then you won. If it's not and it's lower than the secret number, then we're going to tell him that your guess is too low. But if none of these is true, we're going to say something else like the number is too high. So we're going to print your guess is too high. That's all we need to do. That's all we need to type. This is the end of the game, right? So let's test this. I think this video is getting very long. What is the command again? Yeah, python app.py. So it's asking me to type a number. Now, if I type something like, I know that the number is now 7, right? But I can choose to type something like 1, and your guess is too low because it's obviously less than 7. And I can type 6, your guess is too low. What if I type 8? It's gonna tell me your guess is too high right now. If I type 20,000, yeah, your guess is too high, of course. But if I type in 7, it says you won, and then the loop terminated. That's it. Okay, so that's the end of the video, and I hope you got something valuable. Please, if you do, give me a thumbs up, and if there's anything that you don't understand, just leave a comment. Just keep the community going.